Good evening, everyone, and welcome. We'll call tonight's meeting to order and note the members present, staff, those of us joining on Zoom, and we're very happy to see members of the community in the gallery tonight. Welcome. We will begin this meeting with a land acknowledgement. We will begin this meeting by acknowledging that we are gathering on the land that has been inhabited by Indigenous peoples since time immemorial. We would like to recognize that we are in the Robinson Superior Treaty Territory, and the land on which we are gathered today is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe. Specifically, we acknowledge the neighboring community of Mishpecon First Nation, for whom we have great respect. We also recognize the contributions of all Indigenous people, including the Métis, in shaping and strengthening the community and province of Ontario. Thank you, and miigwech. We will now move on to item number 2, disclosure of pecuniary interest. Hearing and seeing none, we will move on to approval of the agenda. 3.1, approval of the agenda. May I have somebody make a motion?
Moved by Councillor Cannon, seconded by Councillor Hoffman, resolved that the agenda for the Committee of Adjustment meeting of Council scheduled for Tuesday, June 20th, 2023 be approved as presented.
All in favor? Carried. There are no announcements, nor is there any declaration of pecuniary, and we've already done the declaration of pecuniary interest. So we'll move on to approval of the minutes.
Moved by Councillor Hatfield, seconded by Councillor Opado, resolved that the following minutes of the Municipality of Wawa Committee of Adjustment be adopted as presented. Minutes of a Committee of Adjustment meeting held on Tuesday, May 16th, 2023 as contained on pages 1 to 3 inclusive of the minute book.
All in favor? Carried. There's no old business, so we will move on to new business. 7.1, approve the actions of the Secretary Treasurer.
Moved by Councillor Pado, seconded by Councillor Hatfield, resolved that the Municipality of Wawa Committee of Adjustment does hereby approve the actions of the Secretary Treasurer with respect to the notification of the following applicant. A02-23, Ms. Carol Dersch and Mr. Joel Cooper applied for a minor variance to zoning bylaw number 2821-15 as amended respecting 239B Harbor Road, described as Plan AR 346 and IR 8187, location EQ 102 and EQ 125, parcel 12654 Algoma West section in the municipality Wawa, to reduce the setback minimum distance to a front lot line from 2.9 to 0 meters for permitted residential dwelling on the subject property.
All in favor? Carried. Item 7.2. Oh, Mr. Sabourin.
Thank you very much, Mayor and Council. This report provides a recommendation to the Committee of Adjustment regarding an application for minor variance for the property located at 239B Harbor Road. The applicant is proposing a reduced setback minimum distance to the front lot line from 2.9 meters to 0.0 meters. For a permitted residential dwelling on the subject property. This application has been reviewed considering applicable provincial and municipal legislative documents. Under the provincial policy statement, the application being considered is site-specific to accommodate a specific proposal and does not involve any major policy considerations. The proposal conforms to and is consistent with provincial policy statement. The general intent and purpose of the official plan was maintained. The official plan allows residential uses are permitted and site alterations are permitted also. Under the zoning bylaw, it's being maintained. The RLS, or Residential Limited Service Zone, permits a dwelling, detached and related accessory buildings. The applicant is seeking a decrease in setback minimum distance to the front lot line for a residential dwelling. The variance is, the requirement right now is 2.9 meters. The proposed is 0.0 meters. The variance requested is 2.9 meters. The proposed location of the residential dwelling meets remaining general provisions for detached dwellings. The general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw are maintained in this application. The requested variance to permit decreased front yard setback for a residential dwelling considered minor in nature. Proposed variance represents desirable and appropriate development of the lands and are not anticipated to create any adverse impacts on the adjacent properties. There was no comments received from external agencies. There was no public comments received from public. Conclusion, the requested variance maintains the general intent and purpose of both the municipality official plan and zoning bylaw number 282115. The proposal is desirable for the appropriate development or use of land, building, or structure, and the requested variance is minor in nature. As such, the proposed application meets all four tests of the Planning Act, and the application is being recommended for approval. It is recommended that the minor variance application file number A-0223 for the property located at 239B Harbor Road be approved. The following conditions should be submitted also: that the approved variance applies only to the proposed residential dwelling as showing on the approved drawings. The owner applicant shall provide to the building department a copy of the decision of the Committee of Adjustment together with a copy of the approved drawings when they make application for a building permit.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sabrin. Is there any questions or comments from council? Councillor Cannon?
Kevin, in the official plan designation, it says summer resort. Is that designated as a summer resort?
No, I believe it's really designated as rural, in which there can be seasonal dwellings based on previous or history. The dwelling is non-conforming because the residents are there full-time or all year.
And if I may, Councillor Cannon, in the rewritten zoning bylaw, the planners recognized that people were living in the area year-round, even though it was zoned seasonal. So there's a new category, it's RLS, and it stands for Residential Limited Services. The municipality has no control over when an individual lives or doesn't live in their home. So the new zoning bylaw set out that the persons living in the area would only receive limited services. That means they don't receive year-round snow removal or year-round garbage pickup unless agreed to by the municipality in writing. So it is in conformity with the official plan and zoning bylaw today that residential development be permitted in the area.
Okay, thanks.
Is there any other questions or comments? Councillor Hatfield?
So are you saying that the residents only get partial snow removal and partial garbage pickup, or like there's a lot of taxes paid out there?
And the assessed values of properties do reflect the services received. Along Catfish and Long Beach, there may be other areas. The municipality does not own the road, so the road to those particular residences are considered private. Therefore, they have to provide their own snow removal. We do not provide snow removal on the road as far as I'm aware. The garbage pickup, for example, in this area, Provo is arranged for a collection box at the beginning on Harbor Road of the road. So in the zoning bylaw, it just means they don't receive full services that you would receive perhaps living in the town of Wawa, because they live in an area with limited services provided for a number of reasons, which include its private road access.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments? There are no other questions or comments, and I believe I can summarize the conversation that council is in alignment with your recommendation to approve this application as presented. Do you need anything more from us?
Thank you, Mayor. I do have a resolution prepared, but the owners are here if you wanted to ask, not necessary, but ask if they had any comment to add.
Joel, Carol, is there any comments or any questions from the gallery?
No, I think what's been done is
Perfect. May I extend the same invitation to Mr. Cloker sitting behind you? Any questions, comments, Randy? So as you noticed, I was absolutely thrilled to have people in the audience. So if you're more than welcome to stay. I believe we'll be here till about 10. But I understand if you wanted to to leave now that your business has been taken care of. With that said, we'll move on to adjournment.
I'll read the resolution, Mayor. Moved by Councillor Pato, second by Councillor Hatfield. Resolved that minor variance application A02-23 submitted by Ms. Carol Dersch and Mr. Joel Cooper for minor variance to zoning bylaw 2821-15 as amended respecting 239B Harbor Road described as Plan AR 346 and IR 8187, location EQ 102 and EQ 125, parcel 1265-4 Algoma West section, be approved with the following conditions. Number one, that the approved minor variance applies only to the proposed residential dwelling as shown on the approved drawings attached to the notice of decision. And number two, the owner applicant shall provide to the building department a copy of the decision of the Committee of Adjustment together with a copy of the approved drawings when they make application for a building permit.
All in favor? Carried. And now I will move to adjourn. At 6:42 p.m.
Moved by Councillor Hoffman, resolved that the meeting close at 6:42 p.m.
All in favor? Carried.
Thank you, Mayor. And if you would oblige me to speak directly to the owners, there is an appeal period for a minor variance decision. It's 20 days. You will receive notice, and anyone who had requested notice of the appeal period and when it expires. And so the date of the expiration will be on that letter you will receive in the next couple of days. Thank you.
Perfect. So now we will move on to the Committee of the Whole meeting agenda. And we will call this meeting to order at 6:43 p.m. and note the members present. Number two, disclosure of pecuniary interest. Hearing and seeing none, we'll move on to approval of the agenda. May I have a mover? Councillor Hoffman, may I have a seconder? Councillor Rapato? All in favor? Carried. Item number 4 is an in-camera session. 4.1, moving on to in-camera session. Perfect. May I have a mover? Councillor Cannon, and seconded by Councillor Hoffman. All in favor? Carried. And with that,
Apologies. Given the attendance tonight, we've set up in the back room so the people here don't have to leave, and we'll move to the back room to go in camera to hear about this year's financial statements.
perfect. And we shan't be long. So we will now return to open session. Item 4.3, return to an open session. May I have a mover, please? Councillor Cannon. Seconder, Councillor Hatfield. Carried. Thank you very much. We will now move to item number 5, delegations and presentations. 5.1, KPMG. Mr. Pino, the floor is yours. We'll give you a few minutes to orient yourself.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of council. It's always a pleasure to be here and present the audited financial statements for the year ended December 31st, 2022. So we have issued or are planning to issue an unqualified audit opinion on the financial statements. This is a clean audit opinion consistent with what you would have seen in prior years and is ultimately the highest level of assurance that we're able to provide under Canadian auditing standards. Financial statements have been prepared under public sector accounting standards and are in compliance with Canadian auditing standards. And excuse me, we've completed our audit under Canadian auditing standards. For the information of council, I do just want to reconfirm our independence. We've done no work and there's no relationships between our firm and KPMG that would call into question our independence from the corporation. Lastly, I do just want to comment that we have received full cooperation from members of management as well as from council in carrying out the completion of our required audit procedures. So overall, the financial results of the municipality have seen an increase in both total assets and total liabilities of approximately $2 million, related primarily to capital projects and amounts owing to the related contractors for those services. Total revenues for the year have increased approximately $400,000 related to additional landings at the airport, offset by some additional costs associated with the landfill expansion during the year and costs related to airport services, resulting in an annual accounting surplus of approximately $1.7 million. With that $1.7 million surplus, the municipality purchased capital assets of approximately $3.5 million and incurred a non-cash amortization expense of $2.2 million, resulting in a change of approximately $470,000 that the management team at the corporation is working through their surplus management plan to dedicate those funds to the various reserves, as well as develop the strategy for use of those funds in the 2024 budget. New in the year is the statement of remeasurement losses outlining the change in the fair value of the investments during the year, consistent with public sector accounting standards. And lastly, the statement of cash flows show a change or a decrease in cash of approximately $3.8 million, offset primarily with the increase in investments during the year, resulting in some additional interest income to the corporation. The notes to the financial statements are consistent with what you would have seen in prior periods. There is a new note related to the adoption of the new accounting standard, which is consistent and required under public sector accounting standards. Otherwise, the notes you see here are consistent with what you would have seen in prior years as well. So with that, Madam Mayor, and if there are any questions, I'm welcome to take them from council.
Thank you very much, Eric. I really appreciate your presentation. I understand that Councillor Hatfield does have a question. Go ahead, Councillor Hatfield.
Eric, right at the start of your presentation, you said something about we're at the highest level. What did you said something about?
Yep.
What was the word you used?
Absolutely. So through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Hatfield, we've issued an unqualified audit opinion. So an unqualified audit opinion or a clean audit opinion is ultimately the highest level of assurance that we're able to provide over the financial statements. So our draft auditor's report that you'll see at the front of the financial statements outlines the basis for our opinion, as well as the responsibilities of management and us as auditors to arrive at that opinion on the financial statements.
Oh, thanks, Eric.
Are there any questions, comments? Eric, I'm going to ask you this, and I feel like I probably should know the answer, but if you'll indulge me, when will the financial statements be finalized and the draft come off the statement?
So Madam Mayor, we're just waiting on a few correspondence and to tie up our audit procedures with the hopes of having this wrapped up in the next week or two.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So my final comment on this is, again, thank you very much for your presentation. I understand that a lot of work go into preparing the annual financial statements, and a great deal of thanks goes to our administrative team, led by certainly our CAO Maury O'Neill, but our finance person Manuela. So thank you very much to our in-house staff who work alongside you to make sure that we can have a clean financial statement. So thank you very much to everyone. Maury, please let me know what direction you need from council. We will receive them and then approve the draft financial statements as presented.
You're asking me a great question. I believe we don't accept them this evening. We wait until the final version is. I'm not sure it's not on the agenda. Where's the resolution? My apologies, Mayor. I wasn't prepared for the question, and I tried to answer without reading. So, under the consent agenda, we do accept the 2022 consolidated financial statements and the trust fund financial statements.
Perfect. So we are aligned to and prepared to move that motion on the next in the next meeting. Thank you.
Council, I do just want to again pass off my thanks for having me here. It's always a pleasure to be able to see the group here. The municipality of Wall is an important client of ours, and do want to thank them for continuing to trust us with this with the service, and look forward to seeing you all in the near term again.
Thank you very much, Eric. Safe travels. We will now move on to the adoption of minutes. 6.1, Committee of the Whole meeting, Tuesday, June 6th. May I please have somebody make a motion to approve? Councillor Hoffman, may I have somebody second? Councillor Hatfield, all in favor? Carried. Item number 7, business arising out of previous meeting, draft policy, citizen complaint.
Mayor, this was deferred from the last council meeting as staff forgot to attach the backup. At this meeting, we've attached the backup, and the draft complaint, citizen complaint policy was attached. It was reviewed by staff and council previously had shared their request that there be an appeal mechanism within the complaint policy that would allow citizens who weren't satisfied with whether it be a director or CAO's response to any complaints, that there be an appeal mechanism for council. And so that's been added in. So it's presented again with that change as a draft to council, with a view that we would bring this forward for approval at the July 11th regular meeting. And in addition, staff have developed a tracking system that we would put into place to formally track complaints that we receive, whether they be from council, a citizen, a contractor, and we will start recording those formal complaints starting July 1st.
Thank you very much. Is there any questions or comments? Council will take the time from now until the next meeting to review, and we look forward to providing our feedback. We will move on now to the number 8, monthly reports, and we'll start with 8.1, CAO Corporate Services Department. The floor is yours.
And tonight, our directors and managers are pleased to present to you monthly reports and set out in the strategic plan or set out by council as something they would like to see from our staff. We're moving from a bi-monthly report to a monthly report from each department, and they will be on the agenda under a separate item called reports. And as council and staff becomes used to the new system, which means staff have deadlines to meet and council can read the reports normally over the weekend before a council meeting, these become informational reports, meaning staff won't provide a verbal summary of the reports, but they're meant as informational, so you know what each department did over the month. They're put on a council agenda, but that still invites opportunity for council to ask questions, comments, request insight into any projects done in the previous month or what might be planned for the upcoming month. But in the essence of council's time and interest, we'll move to a system where staff won't read the full reports. But for tonight, since we're introducing this, if council through the mayor would like staff to read through the reports briefly, we can do that. We're transitioning.
Certainly, please do not read word for word. I'm not interested in a verbatim report, but certainly provide a high level summary. I think that would be sufficient.
Thank you. And I was away on work a few days last week, so I apologize. I didn't get this uploaded to the council agendas. I just completed my report today. It will be uploaded tomorrow, so council can read it online and the public have access. But I have handed out a written report that just summarizes some of the things that the Office of the CAO Clerk did during the month of May. But I think in summary, council's aware of most of the work the CAO does as we report to council meetings and other meetings we attend. But I've attached to this report, I think, something that council may want to read through, and that is an update of the taking all the items listed in the Wawa strategic plan, not the refresh plan to come, but the existing plan. And this provides a report as of May 5th, where staff are at on actions and status with completing all the recommendations in the strategic plan. So I've summarized for council, for example, by whether it was in the infrastructure section of the plan, who is accountable, has the project started, what percentage of the project is complete, any status update notes for council, and due date. So it is about 10 pages, but it does give council an opportunity to look to see, well, on the building condition assessments, for example, we're 10% through that process. And we will provide this monthly as well to council, so council is up to date on where we're at with meeting the strategic plan objectives, with an understanding that as council does a refresh, this might need to be tweaked. But I think this will give council an overall understanding of where we're at meeting the objectives and priorities set out in the strategic plan. For our department, there's a few things to note in the report. Basically, for council's information, I have worked in the month of May with our contract planner, Robert Lehman. He prepared the original zoning bylaw for the town back in the 80s. I am working with him, and he's prepared a draft report on the short-term accommodations, bed and breakfast matter in the community that I know council's expressed concern about. We are writing a report from a planning perspective. We're looking at best practices. So that report will come forward to council over the next couple of months as we work with our planner to prepare some recommendations council to consider on that matter. We're working with a private owner to get permission to have an easement over a road in Mitchell River Village, so we can finish up putting some reground on some of the roads that weren't completed. So we'll bring this matter to council hopefully at their next meeting, July 11th, with an easement agreement that both parties can agree to, with the municipality being one of those parties, so we can address some of the outstanding work in the mission. Through the clerk's department, there are two freedom of information requests that have been active under the clerk's department for over a year. Both of those have been appealed to the freedom of information adjudicator, and one is in the adjudication process right now. So through the clerk's department and working with legal counsel, council has delegated the responsibility, or what is referred to as the head of dealing with freedom of information, to the clerk through the delegation of authority bylaw. So I am sharing with council that we are dealing with those matters, and if there are outcomes, we will keep council informed. We continue to work on our electronic records management system and implementing what is required for us to make sure our electronic files are transferred. They're put in electronic format, or they're destroyed in relation to our retention bylaw. I had the pleasure of showing Councillors Hatfield and Cannon around just before the meeting of how we've renovated the space downstairs, and showing them some of the files that remain and updating them. That we had to pick a date because we have so many paper files, that we took the date of January 1st, 2022 to turn all documents into electronic documents from that date, but any date prior, 2021 and prior, at this time, we're not recommending we turn them into electronic format. It would take considerable resources, time, hiring, whether it's a consulting firm or consultant or staff to convert those. And we're comfortable with our new filing system downstairs and the security of those files in the new space downstairs, that we're safe to move forward with our records management system. On the GIS IT side, through Anders Dureski, who operates that responsibility for us, he provided council with a little update. And I think the major work in May had to do with us moving all the equipment, materials, files, other organizations who had their materials stored at 40 Maple. We have relocated everything, and under Anders' hard work and working with the directors and the rest of the teams, we've moved everything out of there. So the place now is essentially empty, and we've relocated everything underneath us in a new boardroom that is fully accessible. So I encourage council, if it ever has a committee meeting or knows of anyone who needs a meeting space, it is accessible on the ground floor. Unfortunately, at this time, the washrooms are not AODA compliant. But there are washrooms available in office space that the community can certainly contact us to use, and council can consider for future meetings. We do have a plan, and that plan to convert to full AODA standards will take some time, and we're in the process to do an overall study of this building, which would include downstairs. We've started with the help of Alex and Becca Weatherall, the request for proposals for an engineer and architect to come and look at the building, and we look forward to releasing that over the next month. Under economic development, there's been a number of activities. We're very, very thrilled with the work of Council's Economic Development and Tourism Committee. They're meeting monthly, and they're very active, as council is aware. One of the members, David Well, presented Wawa Honk's report on tourism to council at its last meeting, and tonight on the regular meeting, there are there's a resolution for support that would see council accept and adopt David Well's EdTac tourism report, as well as provide the committee with up to $1,000 to do the business meetings and luncheons and dinners for the remainder of the year. Of course, following our travel and meal policy, those resolutions will be on the regular meeting tonight that show, I think, the commitment of the EdTac committee to support council in pursuing all economic development activity available. Our next meeting is at the Tourist Information Center, to be hosted by Alex. And Alex's tourism information coordinator, Isabel Allard. And Council can come and participate as a member of the public if they'd like, and we invite the public to come out, but our meeting will be held next Monday at 6:30 at the Tourist Information Center, where we'll review a draft housing action plan for the community that then through EdTAC will bring forward to council in July. This housing action plan is being drafted in preparation for some funding that we've been made aware of to be released through the Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation through their Rapid Accelerator Fund for housing. So staff have been working on that through the month of May, and we'll be excited to share that with the EdTAC Committee and Council over the next couple of months. A number of grants have been applied to, and as Council's aware, one of those grants was for the airport renovations. And so in the month of May, we completed the application and we started the stage 2 application, and that will be submitted as Council passed a resolution of support at its last meeting. I would just like to say, as a summary, I'm very appreciative of Council's patience, as it's been a very busy time for all of staff, but we're very proud to bring forward a commitment to Council tonight to do a monthly report, and I'll do better meeting the deadlines that I imposed at the next Council meeting. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Maury. We will now move on to item, I should allow for questions or comments. Councillors? Seeing none, we will move on to item number 2, Finance Department monthly report. Manuela.
Sorry, I just needed my. Oh, thank you very much. Thanks. So this is my first one, I think, ever. So bear with me. I first presented just a little bit on capital. So just as a finance, we don't do a lot on capital, but later on this evening, I'll be speaking about a request for proposal that we had put out and a recommendation around that proposal having to do with municipal enterprise software. And the other capital project that we're doing as a department is the building condition assessments as part of asset management. So while I was preparing this report, I thought about the things that council has been asking for, and the thing that kept coming back to me was data and key indicators. So my report is made up mostly of data and key indicators. I'm not going to go through each one, but as you see, I've broken down, business licenses, what were new ones, what were renewed, what's temporary or seasonal, water disconnections. We had a few of those. Grants, the money that we applied for and the money that we've received, what's happening with vital statistics. So marriages, we had one ceremony, death registrations, both local and non-local, and cemetery interments. Also payments, so how we receive our payments. In May, we received 21% of our payments in person, and the other 79% were in some kind of electronic format. We hired 2 contract positions. So I guess what I'm really wanting to know is if there's anything that I've missed in these key indicators that are attached that you'd like to see, please let me know. It doesn't have to be tonight, even in an email, and I will try my best to get them added on to the next report. And I'll keep the report going, not just monthly, but an annual total. So at the end of the year, we can see how we did. Some of the department activities that were undertaken in May included the audit, which was presented to us tonight, as well as the library audit, which we help with that one as well. And hopefully I'll be presenting that one fairly soon to them. And the water bills were issued. Some of the things that are upcoming for the next month will be the final tax bills, next month being June, which is our current month. Selection of municipal software tonight, and developing a work plan for 2024 to 2027 capital plan. So I'll be speaking with the directors about this tomorrow and with council fairly soon after that. Collaborative asset management sessions have begun or will begin in June. So with White River, Hornpain, and Dubreuilville, we're doing a project together. And then we've also joined in with a community of best practice, which is other Northern Ontario municipalities, just developing best practices around asset management. And we've been preparing for the asset retirement obligation that Mr. Pino spoke about earlier this evening, and we've had several discussions with him and other KPMG personnel. And FIR reporting will be happening, and we're preparing to submit tax assessment adjustments. So attached to this report are the key indicators, And my recommendation is that council accept this report as information.
Thank you very much, Manuela. I love all of the data. I appreciate it. So thank you very much. It looks like Councillor Cannon has a question. Go ahead, Councillor Cannon.
Quick one. You have in your key indicators about many of the outstanding accounts are related to the airport. And it says that typically they're not received 60 and 90 days?
Yes, so I think it's a timing issue and it's typical. It's been going on for years. We don't have any concerns around it. It's just the timing of those types of private businesses and how they do their business. I don't know how their receipts come in and then they pay their bills, but that is a typical turnaround.
Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, we will move on to item number 8.3, Protective Services Department. Mr. Sabrin.
Thank you, Mayor. My report is very generalized in nature because it's more numbers that would be more important than incidences that I would have to cover, right? So generally I have monthly reports that I have to submit to provincial agencies. I attend other meetings other than council and management meetings. These are outside the office, which includes the OPP municipal partnership that we've started, the situation table, which is dealing with people who are in extreme situations that need to be rectified. So basically, if an individual is thinking about suicide, then this table gets together and the different agencies try and figure out how we can help that individual. The Mutual Aid Symposium is the annual training for our mutual aid plan in the province of Ontario. That's to help out other communities. Of course, the Fire Review Committee, which has started, so we're attending those meetings. I have one capital project on the go. It's the Community Risk Assessment and Fire Service Review Plan. The building department, you can see the different types of permits that I have to review and issue permits to individuals so that they can build, expand driveways, things like that. In the bylaw, I've had 3 inquiries. Property standards, there's been 2 inquiries. No formal complaints, and I'm involved in 1 follow-up at this time. My training in the month of May was to do with the Ontario Property Standards Officer training. I spent a week doing that. You can see under the fire department the different calls that we attend, how many man hours it takes, property loss and property saved, and minimal revenue from highway calls. There's a statement there showing the different training topics that we do during the month. The month ahead is going to be dealing with the Lomex group and my capital project. I've had to prepare for an annual inspection and fire drill at the long-term care facility at the Lady Dunn Health Center. We're continuing the firefighter recruitment process. If there's anything else that anybody would like information on, I'm more than willing to put it in the report and try and keep it a minimum as I can. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Kevin. Is there any questions or comments for Kevin? Go ahead, Councillor Hatfield.
Kevin, I see you have, you ordered educational report. Is that for the kids in school and stuff like that?
Yes, it's
Education.
yeah. So every spring and every fall, we get an opportunity to purchase fire public education materials. So I've ordered the one for spring, and I've started handing it out to a few hall visits and to some of the classes already.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. That sounds like a fun part of your job. So I hope that you're enjoying that. Thank you very much for your report. Councils will be accepting that. And we will move on without further ado to our second last one. I thought it was the last one, but to 8.4 Community Services and Tourists. Mr. Patterson.
So obviously done monthly reports before, but I'm new at being brief on them, so I will try and do that. Some of our capital projects, just a quick overview. The sports field track project is booked. All the materials that needed to be ordered were ordered and are in. And so as soon as the sports field doesn't have any bookings or recreation programs held on it, work will commence, and that will be done before the school year next year. HVAC replacement at the community center. So we have received and council has accepted the legal agreement, and we're working with Canoe, which if anybody remembers LAS, it's the purchasing arm of AMO. We're working with them as well as the NOHFC to make sure that that meets all purchasing requirements. That'll hopefully get us a little bit of a kickstart on that program. But realistically, with all of the community center revitalization project, work will not start until after the end of the operating season in 2024, because we can't start work right now and then be in trouble come September when the work is half done. We opened the Parklands this year, and I've detailed what the steps are and what we've done so far, as well as stuff that is still underlying things we need to do. I provided council with a list of the special events and activities hosted at the community center. Something I definitely like to highlight is things don't stop happening at the community center just because the ice season is done. We still host a variety of events and fitness programs right through until basically midsummer, when things slow down a little bit at the community center in particular and pick up in the parks. The recreation programs, I'd like to highlight our Participation program, which is happening right now. We received a $5,000 grant, and so I've detailed what we're using that grant on for that program. That's significantly more than we normally get, which ranges between $500 and $1,000. So that really helped us do some things on the baseball fields and provide some additional programs this year. As well as I'd like to highlight our summer youth programming. We have 63 youth registered in T-ball and 104 youth registered in soccer. So anybody who comes out to soccer, I got to coach this year, and it is total chaos on the field for about an hour while we have 104 kids out there. But it's been really awesome to see how many kids have shown up, but also how many parents are showing up and helping volunteer. So I'm really happy with that program, and certainly hats off to Stacy and Annika, our recreation programmers, who have helped make that happen this year. The Tourist Information Center is open now. We hired and trained tourism staff over the month of May, and so they are now essentially in full spin. We have more vendors out there than last year, which I'm very happy about, because that helps us support the local economy and especially these small makers. We also redid a new visitor guide for Walwa that I'm quite happy with. I'd encourage you all to go out and visit Tourist Information Center, grab a copy of the guide, take a look at it, let me know what you think. We're still planning some updates for next year, but it's a substantially larger offering than we've ever had before. In some other things on the radar, one thing I'd like to highlight is Seniors Fitness Program funding. So we applied for and were unsuccessful with an application from the Ontario Seniors Community Fund. So right now we're looking for additional funding because our fall seniors programming is in jeopardy right now. We typically try and offer a couple free classes per semester, and those free classes all come from funding. We don't have that within our municipal budget. And so with being unsuccessful for that fund, we're still looking to cobble things together for the fall. We were, on a good news side, really lucky to get $5,000 essentially through the hospital in a weird sort of fund transfer that wasn't exactly from them. So that's helped us out a little bit, but we still need some more funding. So certainly open if counselors or if anybody has any ideas on where to get some of that, because we've gone a couple routes now through the province. We still have one application pending, but we're not seeing some of this funding that we've seen in the past. Looking forward to next month, which is actually this month, completing additional work in the parks to make sure that everything is essentially clean and safe and ready to go, which I've talked to a couple counselors about. We've been delayed this year because we don't have any college-age summer students. So the 2 extra students we would typically get in May and in June to help us open everything, we haven't had. So that's 80 hours a week that I'm missing out on staff right now. We've also installed all of the hanging baskets around town. In recreation, this is the Participation month, so it's a really big month for everything going on recreation-wise, but we're also getting ready for a big Canada Day celebration. We have a bunch of people coming out. We're looking at a bigger street closure this year on Canada Day because we have more people, including some of the brick and mortar businesses, who want to do things on the street and street fairs and things like that. So that requires a lot of planning and a lot of effort from staff while Participation is going on, so that's all happening in the background. Of course, the Tourist Information Center is now open, and that's the big tourism job right now. We have Isabeau at the Tourist Information Center. And again, I'd encourage everybody to go visit her, have a conversation with her. We've also got Ryan at the Tourist Information Center. He's created some new marketing materials for the facility, including updating brochures on local accommodations, things like that. And then on the administration side of thing, I take care of a lot of the municipality's health and safety program. So we held a health and safety training for all municipal staff. We're also preparing all of our student training. So all of our students now, our high school students, they're all coming in that first week of July. So we're doing a lot of prep right now to make sure we give them a really good week of training before they go out into the field and see everybody. Any questions?
Council, any questions? Councillor Hoffman?
I just want to congratulate you on the goose part of it anyway. The overlooking the deck.
Mm-hmm.
I walked out there and I'm sitting there, it looks open. And my God, I can see the valley. So
Thank you.
thanks.
Councillor Cannon?
Things about the marina.
Yeah, please.
The signs for over at the boat launch, that last year I heard there was going to be signs.
Mhm.
There's no signs, so nobody knows, like I have said before, where to pay, how to pay.
Mhm.
Is that going to happen this year?
As soon as we can figure out a better way of installing them. So I think if you remember right, we put up a boat launch etiquette sign that came down, and then we put it up a second time in a different way, and it also came down. And so we need to figure out a better way of mounting things. But once we get that locked and loaded, so I'm going to say midway through next month, probably, then we'll have some permanent signage there. We're likely going to have to do some concrete work and make something a little bit more permanent than we tried to last time.
Okay. Awesome.
Certainly, go ahead.
Thank you. And about, you say about you got a grant for the washrooms, or money for the,
Sorry.
or it's going to cost, pardon me.
Yes, I got a quote for the washrooms. Yes, I got a quote for the washrooms.
Do you know where you're going to put those?
Honestly, right now, everything is up in the air because that's all pending divestiture. So that is just for council's information. But that is all based on receiving funding for divestiture, what that looks like, what the plan is moving forward, which may or may not happen this year based on consultations.
Okay, thanks.
Is there any other questions, comments? Hearing none, I'll thank you very much for your report, and I look forward to participating in the Canada Day celebrations. I think it's going to be a blast. Awesome. Last but not least, Mr. Beach, 8.5. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So I'm going to follow Maury's recommendation and just give you a few brief points. So for our operations, it's pretty much what you see around town. Street sweeper, sidewalk sweeper, it's gone through the town. We put out the benches and garbage cans on Broadway and Mission Road. The cemetery, we opened up the cemetery May 1st, and we started cleaning up the grounds, filling holes and stuff like that, to get ready for the season. Regular maintenance on our gravel roads, so we started grading them, getting ready for calcium for this month. And we hired summer student to start, one to start, and the rest come in July. For a capital project, I'd like to hit on the intake project. So we did hire a contractor, Watech, come in, and they did a ROV of our water intake line that comes from Walla Lake into the pump house. So this is part of the project, and we wanted to see what kind of shape it was in. And we have videos of it, what it looks like from the inside and the outside. And they also did an ROV of the mission tower to see what kind of shape it's in. And for, I'm just gonna run to our next month. And
Dan,
yes,
can I interrupt you, please? I'm not familiar with the term ROV.
yeah, remotely operated vehicle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's like a mini sub.
Awesome. Thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
It's okay. For the month ahead, so we're looking at rehabilitating 16 hydrants. So this is where we cut the tops off, make them breakaways, and then we rehabilitate the whole hydrant itself to make it work a lot better. We're going to continue graveling, and we're going to calcium the roads. And the Mission, Harbor Road, and all the roads are gravel roads. We're going to start line painting, get the lines on the road so that people know where to drive, parking lots, and the handicap spots. We're going to keep cutting our boulevards and grass in the cemeteries, and we're going to hold a community safety zone meeting. Any questions?
Questions, comments? Councillor Hatfield?
There's one street that hasn't been done. I walk on it every morning. It's the corner of A and 3rd Avenue. That street hasn't been swept. There's lots of sand and rocks. It's just a part of it. I'm sure the guy went off and then forgot to come back. Anyway, just a note to do.
Thank you, Council. I will address that.
Councillor Cannon?
And I really appreciate the work done on the road into the Mission. It makes for the bottom of my truck happy. And I appreciate all the work that you got done so quickly.
Thank you.
And I'll just add to that, it makes for the kids' top of their heads on the bus happy. Thank you for indulging me in my poor joke.
Thank you.
And with that, Dan, thank you very much. We appreciate your report. And we'll move on to new business. Sorry, go ahead. I said we'll move on to new business if Dan is completed.
Mayor, Councillor Hatfield asked that we add to the corporate agenda tonight annual volunteer award and recognition. Mayor, I think Councillor Hatt would like to speak to that, but I did attach to the agenda the policy that exists today about the annual award.
The floor is yours, Councillor Hatfield.
It hasn't been done for quite a while. Basically, you just get a committee formed, and I'd be more than happy to help with that. And they know where it is. They found the plaque, and which is really nice because they had it tucked away somewhere. But anyway, that has been found, and I would like to start maybe in September and get a committee and advertise it and do whatever we have to do for it.
As per our current policy, we can do it just through council. So essentially, like reading the current policy, all it says is that council, and council can direct staff to do this, of course, is to publicly announce that they'll be receiving nominations. There'll be a nomination period of an unspecified time within the policy. And then once all the nominations are received, those nominations will be provided to council, and council can decide on up to 2 medals of merit to be issued every year. Once those medals of merit are decided upon by council, there would be a ceremony essentially at council chambers for council to award those. And then staff, and I can take on this responsibility as our department, can update the plaque at the community center to remount it in a location, and that way it'll be visible to the community.
There's no committee?
Not according to the policy. I think there used to be.
Yeah.
According to the policy, it says sorry, I'll read you the lines specifically. When choosing a recipient, municipal council will take into consideration. So it's not a separate committee, it is council as a whole, according to the policy, which can be changed by council.
Can I make a recommendation, Councillor
Yes,
Hatfield?
absolutely.
I like the idea. I think it's a fabulous idea that we revive this policy, because I think we can all agree that recognizing volunteer achievement is a really good is a really good thing to do. And I'm wondering if we can task a staff person like yourself, Alex, to revise the policy. But I think just based on your comments and when I've reviewed the policy, that we do need to specify a specific time for nominations. So whether it's a 30-day period, for the public to submit a nomination. And it also sounds like we need to develop a budget. So if we're going to have medals ordered, or if we're going to have a small ceremony and have plaques, updated plaque, like we need to put some parameters around a budget. And if you're able to take that, to fill in those gaps for us and bring back that back to council, perhaps we can do that. Is there there is a volunteer recognition month, isn't there? I feel like that just passed not too long ago.
The month of April.
So perhaps if you're in agreement, Councillor Hatfield, we could try and have this ready for the month of April and maybe have January, February, March, or just March as the nomination period.
I think you need more than a month to have a nomination. Like you need a couple of months for sure. And it's the hardest part is advertising. A lot of people have computers in that, but there just doesn't seem. We can go on the Wobble website, but Alex, you know what to do anyway. I've had a lot of people tell me that they already have people in mind, so I'm hoping they'll continue with it.
So if council's okay with it, just to confirm direction, what we can do is we can aim to have a policy prepared for the fall. And then in the accompanying operating budget, we can put a small line for volunteer recognition that would cover the advertising of the program, purchasing the required supplies, and a small ceremony. And that way council understands what costs involved would be, and it gives staff the opportunity to pull from a specific budget instead of just trying to find it somewhere. Is that reasonable to aim for the fall for a draft policy and then next year, 2024, for implementation with the goal of having a ceremony in April?
I'm in alignment with that. Comments, questions?
You can do that.
No objection. We will now move on to item number 9.2, the Bear Train letter request for financial contribution.
So I'll speak to this one. I've sat on the Bear Train committee before. I want to say 3 or 4 years ago, pre-COVID. This has been ongoing since they canceled the Bear Train in 2014, 2013, back when it was the ACR boxcar that ran. Essentially, like a brief summary of this is the milk run, as you would call it, between Sault Ste. Marie and Hearst that serviced a lot of the outfitter camps, a lot of private cottages, a lot of things like that. I used it as a guide to put canoes on the Agua River. So it was a tourist oriented and resident oriented service that was just not profitable at all without a federal government. I want to say it was a $5 million per year grant that the feds gave to CN Rail at the time to operate this service. Once it was closed, there was actually two groups that were formed. One group fed into the other, and then Missinaibi Cree First Nation created the Masqua Utaban, which is essentially like their own sort of corporation to try and get this train back up and running. So it's fully First Nation owned and operated. Missinaibi Cree First Nation has been pushing for this to happen, and they have some fairly significant lobbying power with the federal government, but as of yet it hasn't quite made it into fruition yet. They've asked the communities who surround this, and Wawa in particular, because we act as the hub for many of these outfitters who were using the train before, to help out with this. So we don't have a particular recommendation as staff in terms of a financial contribution to make. Oh, you do? Okay, right on. So we do have a recommendation to staff about $2,500 as a donation. They've also asked me to sit on the board again, which I need to talk to Maury about and what that looks like, because it is a little bit farther than our reach in terms of the local tourism economy that we're really focusing on. But fundamentally, it's a good thing for the region. And in studies in the past, they've estimated up to $87 to $125 million of spin-off economic development that this particular train being in operation generates for the region. So I would say generally it's a good thing to support. And if we have the ability to support it, which I don't believe we'd be recommending that donation if we didn't, then it's a good thing to stay around that table and to make sure that we continue to bring these tourism economy benefits to our region.
Thank you very much, Alex. Is there any questions or comments? No. So my only comment is on that is I also previously sat around this table as a board member And Missinaba Cree is definitely a huge partner for the municipality of Wawa, and certainly an organization that we as a municipality want to support, as they continue to be a close ally to us in all of our operations moving forward. So I'm fully aligned with the recommendation. Councillor Hatfield?
I have a question for you. We were talking earlier, and I don't know, but Missinaba Cree is much bigger than I thought they were. Like, they own a lot of things. I was just wondering, maybe you could talk a minute about that.
So Missinaba Cree is involved in they're very entrepreneurial First Nation. So they certainly have a stake or an interest in many different ventures in the region, including Superior Aggregates, or what we know to be Superior Aggregates, certainly in the community of Missinaba that's adjacent to their First Nations property or their First Nations reserve. They own properties within the municipality. They own and have interest in the Marconi Club in Sault Ste. Marie, in housing developments in and around the GTA. So they're certainly a very progressive entrepreneurial First Nation, and they are the driving force, as Alex said, behind the Bear Train, which promotes tourism opportunities proximate to the rail line in between Sault Ste. Marie and Hearst. So
thank you. I really didn't know all that, so it was interesting.
great. So if there's no objections, I assume that we will see this in the upcoming meeting. Perfect. Thank you. So we will move on to item 9.3. The CAO report on the application to NOHFC for the Mishpecon Golf Club.
Thank you, Mayor. And the recommendation from the report is that Council receive this report and also approve that the Stage 2 application be submitted to the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund Corporation, NOHFC, for funding for the golf course to improve the decking and roof at the clubhouse and to improve and repair the irrigation system. These facilities and materials are owned by the municipality, and through a lease agreement between the municipality and the Mitchpecotton Golf Club Corporation, are leased back to the club so they can operate a golf course. This would be, of course, conditional and required that the Mitchpecotton Golf Club pay all costs of the infrastructure repairs that are not funded through a grant, save and except for what I'm requesting tonight, a small cash contribution of $2,500 from the municipality to go towards the project. The golf course, as council's aware, is a valuable asset to the community, not just for local residents, but also as a tourism attraction. In 2009, the club was in a financial crisis. It wasn't making enough revenues to cover all expenses. And so to assist the club, the municipality agreed at that time to purchase the lands. This allowed the club to obtain a status called a municipal capital facility. And if a facility is deemed acceptable under that definition by the assessment office, it does not have to pay municipal taxes because it's deemed that the facility provides a greater good to the municipality and is providing a service on behalf of the municipality. So by selling the property to the municipality, an agreement, it was able to continue to remain operational. For council's information, that agreement also has a clause that the golf club can purchase back the lands that the course is on for $1 at a future date, should it ever become financially feasible for the club. Other clauses in the agreement for council's attention tonight is that number one, in that agreement of purchase and sale, The golf club is solely responsible for all matters relating to the operation of the golf course, including and not limited to just operational decisions, hiring staff, setting annual membership fees and green fees, all financial and corporation reporting required, and further that it is responsible to pay for all costs of any modifications done to any buildings on the property that may be required as a result of present or future legislation. There's another clause regarding funding that the municipality and the golf club agree to make application together for all types of federal and provincial funding which may become available for improvements to the said lands and premises and the operation of the golf course. Well, there's only recently that the Northern Ontario Heritage Fund has made public golf courses, municipally owned facilities, eligible for NHSC funding. So as a result, I met with the Golf Club Board of Directors, and through me to you, Mayor and Council, they are asking permission for the municipality to make an application to NHFC for 75% of the cost of the needed repairs at the clubhouse, which include new decking. The decking was a health and safety issue on the backside that has to be repaired. The roof is leaking and the irrigation system's not working, so they need some new components at an estimated budget of $142,000. The grant, if it's successful, would pay 75%, and the club would be responsible to fund the cash donation of $31,000. Provide any in-kind materials. It has some donated lumber in its project outline, as well pass a resolution to commit to cover any project cost overruns, which the board of directors of the golf club did at a meeting I attended last week. So to assist the club, it's the municipality as the owner that has to apply. It's the municipality that has to oversee the project, pay the bills, provide insurance coverage. But I do have the assurity of this volunteer 11 board member board of the golf course that it will commit to cover all costs and provide every volunteer to make sure this doesn't come burdensome to staff. And they will enter into any agreement required by the municipality setting those requirements out. I feel very comfortable and very convinced and committed to saying to council tonight that the board is in fully support that this should not, cost the municipality any undue hardship, and they're very committed to paying their cash share of the project. This does meet with the Wawa Strategic Plan vision and mission statements around providing all available sustainable, financially feasible recreation services to the community. It also supports our tourism economy. And essentially back in 2009, when I was not employed by the municipality, but I was volunteer on the board, the decision of council really came around because at that time, council understood that this was a service that volunteers were providing, that if the municipality provided, it would cost more to operate. There are a number, thousands of hours put in the facility by volunteers. So staff is making the recommendation that council donate a small $2,500 cash donation to show that it is a partner in this project, and that council approves that staff submit the phase 2 application. And on tonight's regular meeting is a supporting resolution. There's 2 resolutions that set out that council will fund its share of the NOHFC application for the golf club, which is a requirement for applying to phase 2. And then the second is that council agrees that the golf club will pay for all cash requirements for the project except for the $2,500 and be responsible for any cost overrun should they occur. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maureen, for the report. Is there any questions or comments related to this? Councillor Cannon?
Say that they have committed to paying all the costs and everything, but then written in black, it says that the municipality of Wawa commits up to $35,500 in funding towards the golf club renovation project and be responsible to cover project cost overruns.
So it is complicated. Thank you for the question. We as a municipality, because we're applying to NOHFC, That is a requirement because we're the applicant, that the applicant show a council resolution that council, because we are the applicant, does commit to fund the cash contribution and be responsible for all cost overruns. So that would be our responsibility for a council resolution attached to the funding application. But in response to that, I have a second resolution on the regular meeting tonight, and my answer to you is, as a compendium to that resolution, the golf club commits to council through its own resolution to pay all those costs. But because we're the applicant, we are responsible, but they will and have through resolution commit to paying us back.
So I had a very similar question. Do we have a promissory note, or have we verified through financial statements, audited financial statements, that the golf course does have the funds?
No, I haven't looked at their financial statements. They do have the funds available in the reserve. They have about $50,000. And that was reported at the treasurer at the last meeting, but I have not looked at their financial statements. They are committed to pay their share. And so in terms of a promissory note, all we could do at this time for council is to show that the golf club passed a resolution at its last meeting, and that's in my report. And that following, should council agree and approve the resolutions tonight, the resolution, I believe, is worded that then an agreement would be developed and entered into between both parties, setting out the particulars of the money.
Okay, I'm satisfied with that wording, that an agreement would be made, and that gives us the security to set out a promissory note, or something similar.
But the terms and conditions of the agreement. So upon receipt of any bill, right, we would put in the agreement terms around, you have 30 days to pay or else, or,
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
appropriate wording.
Exactly. I'm very comfortable with that, particularly since the Mishpacotton Golf Club is well, they're certainly arm's length, but they're an organization that we support on a regular basis. So I'm certainly happy with that explanation. Councillor Cannon, do you have any follow-up?
I'm just worried that we're going to be responsible if they can't pay the bill. Like, so what do we take from them if they don't pay the bill? Like, what do we get in return? Just the bill?
Well, I can't respond to that 100%, but I'll consider that in the drafting of agreement, and would say to council that we would charge interest as we would treat any of our receivable clients or contractors or those who owe us money. We have policy in place that, you know, after 30 days there's interest. That, you know, after a certain amount of time we can take over certain equipment. We can ask in advance. Manuela's assisting me with responding to you because it was a great question, but she had an idea. We can ask that they forward the money up front and put it in trust, and we draw down from it. So there are ways, I think, to satisfy council's concern, and certainly I can invite the members of the board, the President Scott Carruthers, or the Secretary Treasurer to come forward to maybe address council about its financial situation at a future meeting if that's a concern to council as well. So I think there's some options, Councillor Cannon, and through the mayor to the rest of council, that staff is satisfied with what we've heard, that we're not considering that a very big threat. Risk.
I have a question.
And as I understand, apologies, Councillor Hatfield, and as I understand, it is important for council to pass this resolution tonight, because a council resolution is required, so not to miss the NOHFC deadline.
Oh, there's a deadline.
There's a deadline. The NOHFC will have a board meeting, which they'll need to submit this resolution as part of their application process.
What's the $2,500 for?
The $2,500 is, again, my recommendation, that council certainly can alter, not agree to, but it's my experience in applying for grants over 30 years that when you have a partnership, it looks much more appealing to the funders, the more partners that you have, and more monies from other sources that you have to indicate to a funder that the project is supported by the community and supported by council, not just in a resolution, but in a financial contribution. And I would just also suggest that at the end of the day, all these buildings are ours. So by applying, we're only fixing our own assets, even though they're under lease to a group of volunteers. A small donation, as I'm recommending, of $2,500 is really a small portion of a $142,000 project. So that's just my recommendation. It just helps the grant application.
So we own the property, we own the land,
Yes, we own
we own the equipment, we own the building.
the land and the shadows. So the land and the buildings, not the equipment. The golf club on its own purchased their own lawnmowers and tractors.
Yeah, but Maury, you do understand we have helped the golf course quite a bit over the years, and there's other groups that have come to us for money and we said no. So it is hard for me to go along with it. I don't want to see the golf course fail. I didn't really realize we owned I thought we owned the equipment too, but there has to be some things straightened, right? Like, do we have in writing that we own this and we own that? And do we have that?
Bylaw in my report that I can certainly share with you that sets out the agreement of purchase and sale and land transfer. So yes, there are documents setting that out.
So I think if I can just clarify, Councillor Hatfield, there's two decisions that we need to make tonight.
Okay.
In order for the golf club on their own to apply for this funding, because we own the land and the buildings which they want to improve, we need to pass a resolution. We need to be the one to pass it, just for them to even apply for the funding. Even if we don't want to make a $2,500 donation, we don't have to do $2,500. Maury just thinks that that's a pretty good idea, and it will help improve their chances. But we don't have to do $2,500, but it's a nominal donation that she thinks that will help benefit, because it'll show us as a partner. I agree with her based on my experience with NOHFC, but in order for the golf club to even apply to NOHFC, we have to make a resolution supporting their application.
I find it difficult to continue helping the golf course, and I want to, but I find it a difficult decision.
It won't be a resolution. It won't. A resolution supporting the golf club will only be. It won't cost us anything. It's just supporting a club. So I think we can all agree that we are willing to do that.
Okay, I do want to do that.
So there's no funds. There's no funding for that.
Okay. Well,
I would like to see, though, it put in the agreement, maybe the money is put forward as some kind of surety that we're going to get paid back if something happened.
So I think we have alignment that we are willing to pass the resolution. And I don't disagree with Councillor Kennan. And perhaps we can ask Maury to bring the agreement to us, but I'm not particularly concerned with the details of that. The golf club is an arm's length, or it's not even arm's length. There are buildings. So
yeah.
But so I think we've agreed on that. But for the $2,500, are we willing to do that? Is there any objection to making a $2,500 donation? So there's no formal objection for that.
Thank you, Mayor. And there's two resolutions that'll follow on the regular meeting. And again, council's free to vote or request an amendment. One of the resolution is strictly, as you're reiterating, Mayor, is strictly about the municipality applying to NOHFC. The second resolution deals with the golf club committing back to the municipality to pay its share, and includes the donation or the recommended donation of $2,500. So those resolutions can come up and council can vote, amend as it sees fit. I'd just like to clarify, I failed to look at my own notes while I was talking. We did a request for proposals for all the expenses, so for all three components of the golf club, and those were in today at 3 o'clock. And so I quickly did the math. And so the resolution and my report, although it says council will commit up to $35,500, it actually is $34,000 because some of the prices came in a little lower than expected. So the resolution will state that the municipality commits to pay $34,000, its share of 25% of the funding of the NOHFC application. So I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Go ahead, Councillor Hatfield. Okay. So without any further comments or questions, we will move on to the draft succession planning policy.
Thank you, Mayor. Attached for council's consideration is very preliminary draft policy dealing with succession planning. This is an item that council recognizes is really important to the municipality as we face an aging workforce, and council's concerned about making sure we have qualified, trained staff that are able to fill some of our higher positions, as well as making sure where there's opportunities and employees that are already working for us express interest and have the skills and development, that council puts into place a policy that states we look forward to promoting within when it's desirable or expressed as employees' interest. So I've taken this succession planning policy as a model provided in draft by George Cuff, who provided some training to council and is an expert in the municipal field. I introduced it to council for consideration, review, comment over the next while. This also permits me to share this with staff, so staff can provide comments. So I will share this around for comments from staff, council, anyone who wants to provide input, and bring this back with all those comments integrated at the July 11th meeting for further discussion and review.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Is there any comments, questions? Hearing none, we will move on to Manuela Batanova. Oh my goodness. I thought I was getting confident I was going to try it. Municipal software.
Thank you very much. So this report is in regards to the RFP that we issued earlier this year for the municipal software that was included in the 2023 capital plan. So just a little bit of background, WAWA's current software, we have some issues with it. Primarily, a lot of the processes are duplicated manually. We have add-on processes that we use to achieve goals. So here's an example. Our revenue associate has to run a macro, which we've worked with other municipalities to develop in order to do the water bills. Manual processes duplicating. The airport does their sales on an Excel spreadsheet, comes here, then it gets put in manually. There's some manual processes with the Pro Shop, although we've been working on really hard on getting that cleaned up and working a little better, but it's just the software itself makes it very difficult for that to happen. It's not an all-encompassing software, the one we have, so it does financial, but it doesn't do other things. So event booking or scheduling for the arena wouldn't have those capabilities. We had actually another software that was supposed to work with it. I think Alex had issues just getting the software to work, period, and certainly it would not work with the software we have now. So that's just briefly some of the problems. The budgeting is a manual process, so that's very onerous on us as well. And the reporting is not user-friendly, so we're developing almost a little program in the background to create reports, and also garbage in, garbage out. It's reliant on us to make sure we don't make any mistakes. So I think it's the first piece of financial software I've ever worked with that doesn't do a trial balance. So it's ERP is what we're looking for. So the municipality of Wawa issued a request for proposals for ERP system, which is enterprise resource planning software. And what it does is it integrates all of our technologies and processes and people. So the things that we do and the people that we have and the things we want to accomplish in the other software to make everything work together. So it's one software that brings us all together and all of our goals. So advantages of it is real time. There's no batch processing. Whatever you do on it, it happens instantly. It'll reflect in the financial statements immediately. No cost for additional hardware because we looked for a cloud-based system, so it's up in the cloud, and all we need is our computers, laptops. Lower operational costs because we're streamlining the processes, trying to get rid of a lot of paper with this system. And it's got higher productivity, integrating processes such as accounts payable, purchase orders, and inventory all in one place. So inventory is something that we also don't have currently, nor do we have a work order system. So further requirement of the RFP was that the system be cloud-based, like I just said. It's important to us, especially coming through the pandemic. We had to work from home, and that was a challenge. Me, at my age, everything was so small on my screen. That was not fun at all. This system works at home the same way it does here in the office. So that's a great thing. It would also, the POS or the point of sale system would work at the TIC, at the airport, and any other venue we wanted to set up. So if Wawa wanted to sell something at the Goose Nest, put in a laptop with a little bit of Wi-Fi, and there you go. It'll be up and running. So to ensure that the selected software met the needs of all the departments, the review and recommendation team consisted of 4 individuals representing finance, infrastructure, and community services departments. So we wanted to take all departments' needs into consideration when we looked at this software. Reviewing the RFP, consideration was given to strategic plan priorities. So GG2 said improve online services available to residents. Well, this allows for online payment of taxes. It's a portal for the residents, just like you have with Algoma Power. You can go in, pay your taxes, pay your water bill, put in an application for a building permit, and the list goes on. Review financial software program was recommendation PS5. And then the transformation review, there was several areas of the transformation review that this software touched. So AFO3 was budget preparation and approval timelines. This software has capability of producing a 10-year budget. Website functionality, it would collect to our website. Another municipality, I'm not going to say their name because I don't know if I'm allowed to, but they've gone live with this system. And I went on their website, and there's just a button that you push on their website that says, you know, we're online, look for your taxes here type thing. So it was so easy. And then I talked to them because I thought, oh, I want to phone them and see how it's working. And they were really happy with it. So that was a good thing. Community consultation engagement software, so that's kind of what this is. Inspection software, it has that capability, although I'm not asking for it right now. Financial software, support. So support is big to us. We've waited months for almost all of our support requests, since I've started here. I've worked with this company before, and the longest I ever waited for a call back was under 2 hours. So they've got, their support is second to none. Recreation and booking software was also something that's in the transformation review as a necessity, and this software also has that. So the municipality received 3 responses to the request for proposal. We looked at timeline and duration of the project, tasks to be completed as outlined in the RFP, the deliverables, experience that the companies had in similar projects, references, and price. So we had the 3 that responded were VS Group, and they were rated at 40.67, Town Suite Municipal Software at 85, and Catalyst at 58.33. So I just want to mention, because I'm familiar with one of the softwares, the recommended software, I did not score the RFP. I removed myself from that scoring because my opinion would be biased. So I was not part of the committee that scored this evaluation. So based on the cumulative results of the RFP, the evaluation team recommended the proponent to be Town Suite Municipal Software. some of the things that we can say about TownSuite is the software is all encompassing, meeting data and financial reporting requirements across all the departments. It's cloud-based. It's housed in a Canadian facility, so that's very important to me. So it's a tier 3 facility. The tier 4, I believe, is the highest, which is where CSIS sits. Tier 3 is where the banks sit. So it's got a very good facility for storing our data. One in Ottawa and the other one in Vancouver. So they're both on Canadian soil as well, which is good. They have a proven track record in providing quality-oriented support. They meet online wants and needs, our online wants and needs. They were the only proponent who presented fully integrated cloud-based solution. So no other software is required. One of the other ones we really actually liked, but you had to join other softwares in with theirs, which is what we do now. And the other one is in a development stage, and we wanted something that was established. So they've been, I think, for over 20 years now in the eastern provinces, and for a few years now in Ontario. And I think if council agrees, would be, I think, the 6th or 7th municipality in Ontario to go with this software, but they have several hundred in the eastern provinces. I think they have 80% of the municipalities in the eastern provinces. So they're innovative and they're very active in research and development. So what really impressed me when I haven't worked with them and with this in the past was what they've done with asset management lately. So we have big responsibilities coming up in asset management, especially around levels of service, and they're working at joining all of that together in their research and development right now. So especially in Ontario. So their quote came, our budget was $255,050 over 2023 and 2024. Their quote came in initially at $359,600. They gave us just over $57,000 in incentives, bringing it down to $302,000. So when I looked at it, I thought, how can I come down to that budgeted amount? And there was one module, which is the community service module, I could take out, which would bring us just below the budgeted amount. That's really not my recommendation. I'm going to ask for the full amount. And the reason is the two components of that piece of that one section that I would remove, they call it community services. It is the recreation, but half of that module consists of the recreation component of this software, and the other half, which I think would be of interest to council, consists of the service request 311 module, which is inward and outward facing. So that means a customer can come up to the front desk or pick up the phone and call and say, hey, there's like big potholes on Churchill Avenue. And whoever picks up that phone call or meets with them at the front desk can log on to the system and put in that customer complaint. It will go straight to the infrastructure department. Dan will assign it, or Becca, to whomever they think needs to look at that. And they'll give them that task in their software, through the software, and that person will go out and address it. If they don't address it, they'll also get notified that it hasn't been addressed. So as soon as that issue has been addressed, that person doing it is going to check off, yes, it's done. It'll go to Dan. If he doesn't get that check, it's been done. He knows to follow up. So I think it's a really good way for us to start dealing with some of the complaints that we have. It also links it to the financials. So if somebody calls and says, hey, there's a water main break, then that complaint's going to go to Dan. He's going to issue a work order. That work order is going to trigger finance that, hey, there's a work order for a water main break. Now we have to send a bill. So it talks to all the departments that need to be spoken to. So it just, and it also will say, hey, a water main's an asset, so we need to update the asset management plan. So it's really all encompassing. And for that reason, I would say it's worth that $49,000 to get the full amount. So my recommendation is number 3, accept TownSuite Municipal Software proposal as presented at the full cost of $302,064.
Thank you very much for your report, Manuel. Is there any questions, comments? Sounds like you have our full support. It certainly sounds very intuitive. We'll really connect all the departments in the municipality and hopefully revolutionize the service standards which is something that has been discussed around the council table. So
Thank you very much. My staff will be very pleased to hear this tomorrow. This is not something we took lightly. It's been several years of looking at the software and waiting for it to get developed in Ontario. We've been looking at it since I think about 2019 now, and I think everybody's tired of looking at it. We're just wanting to get moving forward. So thank you.
we're excited for you. So moving on. Item number 10, business arising from closed session. There is none. The next meeting date is Tuesday, July 11th, 2023. So I will make a note that as we move into summer session, we are only going to be having one meeting for the month of July and one meeting for the month of August, unless there's a need. The need arises for another session. And we will move to adjourn. And we will close this meeting at 8:48 p.m. May I have a mover? Councillor Cannon and Councillor Hoffman. All in favor? Carried. And if you just allow us one moment, we will refresh and go to the next meeting. Okay, we will call this meeting to order and note the members present. At 8:50 p.m. Item number 2, disclosure of pecuniary interest. Hearing and seeing none, we'll move on to item number 3, approval of the agenda.
Second by Councillor Cannon, resolved that the agenda for the regular meeting of council scheduled for Tuesday, June 20th, 2023 be approved as presented.
All in favor? Carried. There is no delegations and presentations, so we will move on to announcements and giving of notice. There are a number of meeting notices on the agenda. Is there any announcements from members of council?
Yes. At our at our heritage meeting tonight, Joanna was talking about the TIC Center, and it has a room set up with, it's called the Turcotte Room. And she said it's really, really, really worth going to see. So I just wanted to tell everybody to maybe drop in and see what they've done.
Thank you very much, Councillor Cannon, or Councillor Hatfield. I was looking at Councillor Cannon. I would also like to make an announcement to let everybody know that tomorrow is National Indigenous Peoples Day. So please mark your calendar. There are a number of activities going around the community for that. And there is activities going on in Mishwakot First Nations. So I encourage everybody to participate, and I challenge everybody to learn something new about the Indigenous people that are living within Wawa and in our region. And we will move on to item number 6, adoption of minutes.
Seconded by Councillor Cannon. Resolved that the following minutes of the meeting of council be adopted as presented. Minutes of a regular meeting of council held on Tuesday, June 6, 2023, as contained on pages 1 to 8, inclusive of the minute book.
All in favor? Carried. Item number 7, correspondence. There are various items under correspondence. Maury, is there anything that you would like to bring to our attention?
Yes, for items 7.1 to 7.4, there are accompanying resolutions of support for council on the regular agenda. One is to support the flying of the pride flag at the front of the municipal town hall. Another one is for request for sponsorship from the Wawa Music Festival. And the resolution of support is that council support donating $1,500, which makes it a not a premium sponsor, but a sponsor of the music festival. So it's not just a donation, you're actually sponsoring. In return, we get our logo in the program and some other marketing materials. Phenom has a housing resolution they've requested of all municipalities in the north that is on, requesting that the provincial government and federal governments work to fund the deficit that remains in supplying funding for affordable housing in the province. So there's a resolution of support for that. And just for information, a local citizen is just advising council that Shaw Cable no longer carries the local TV channel. They've made several calls to Shaw Cable who don't plan on providing that local TV station anymore. And that's for information. Thank you.
Maury, may I have will council indulge me by making two statements with regards to correspondence? So with regard to the donation request for Wawa Music Festival, a $1,500 contribution will allow 5 festival passes to be given to the municipality of Wawa. I'm not sure how the municipality wants to divvy those up, but I'm sure somebody in the corporation might want to enjoy those. So I'll leave that up to Maury to decide. And with regards to the letter for Shaw Cable, I have taken it upon myself to reach out to Shaw Cable and find somebody who can make a delegation to council. So because that is an issue. But there are certainly a number of issues that I believe that council has interest in. And with that, we'll move on to item number 8 on the consent agenda. So 8.1.
Moved by Councillor Cannon, seconded by Councillor Hatfield. Resolved that the items listed under the consent agenda, item 8.2 to 8.5, be approved as recommended.
All in favor? Carried. Item number 9, staff reports.
Moved by Councillor Cannon, seconded by Councillor Hoffman. Resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Wawa does hereby receive staff monthly reports. MB 23-13 May 23 monthly report, AP 23-06 May 23 report, DBRW 23-08 May 23 report, KS 23-06 May monthly report, and that should be CAO 2023-06 CAO monthly report, and MB 2023-12 RFP municipal software.
All in favor? Carried. There is no business arising out of previous meeting. So we will move on to new business. 11.1, support flying of the pride flag in June.
Moved by Councillor Hoffman, seconded by Councillor Cannon. Whereas beginning in the year 2000, the month of June has been recognized nationally as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, Questioning Queer LGBTQ2+ Pride Month, with the purpose to recognize both the contribution of the LGBTQ2+ persons to society and their continued struggle for equality, safety, and acceptance. Now therefore be it resolved that the municipality of Wawa declares the month of June as LGBTQ2+ Pride Month, and that during this month, the municipality will fly the rainbow flag to symbolize our recognition of the contribution of and support for equality, safety, and acceptance of the LGBTQ2+ persons within our community, and that the Pride Month flag will be raised at the municipal offices during the month of June annually thereafter, unless council directs otherwise.
All in favor? Carried. Item 11.2.
Moved by Councillor Hoffman, second by Councillor Hatfield, whereas the not-for-profit corporation Masquaw Transportation Association, Inc., MTA, Inc., organized by the Missinaba Cree First Nation, has developed most of the content of a Bear Train business case, and whereas communities have experienced significant economic challenges as a result of the cancellation of the ACR passenger train service, and whereas MTA, Inc. and the Missinaba Cree First Nation are committed to working with all levels of government to reinstate passenger train service from Sault Ste. Marie to Hearst, and whereas MTA, Inc. is seeking a financial contribution to help pay for the completion of a business case by a reputable consultancy firm with passenger rail experience, and the primary objective of the study is to prepare accurate, evidence-based, up-to-date financial projections based on post-pandemic costs. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Corporation Municipality Wawa does hereby support Masquaw Transportation Association, Inc. and contributes a financial donation of $2,500 towards the MTA, Inc. Bear Train Business Plan development.
All in favor? Carried. 11.3. Support EDACT tourism recommendations.
Moved by Councillor Pato, second by Councillor Hatfield, whereas Municipal Economic Development and Tourism Committee, EDTAC, of Council presented a tourism report called Wawa Honks on June 6, 2023, outlining recommendations to improve the community's tourism sector that add to the recommendations contained in the recently adopted Wawa 5-year tourism plan. Now therefore be resolved that Council Corporation Municipality Wawa does hereby agree to include the EDTAC Committee's Wawa Honks report and as an addendum to the Wawa 5-year tourism plan for consideration by staff when annual tourism priorities and departmental work plans are developed. And furthermore, that Council approve that EDTAC Committee proceed with developing a monthly business dinner consultation plan with an approved budget of up to $1,000 for business consultation meetings completed in 2023 as per municipal meal reimbursement policies.
All in favor? Carried. 11.4.
Moved by Councillor Hoffman, second by Councillor Cannon, whereas the Michipicoten Golf Club, Inc. requested that the municipality of Wawa make application to NOHFC for financial support to make necessary repairs to the decking, roof, and irrigation systems at the golf course and buildings owned by the municipality. And whereas the Michipicoten Golf Club, Inc. commits to fund its share of up to 25% or $31,000, as well as it commits to pay the full cost of any project cost overruns. Now therefore be it resolved that the Council of the Municipality of Wawa does hereby approve that municipal staff make application to NHFC for funding for the golf course renovations as requested by the volunteers of the Michipicoten Golf Club, and the municipality commits to contributing $2,500 in cash to the project. All other costs of the project are to be paid for by the Michipicoten Golf Club.
All in favor? Carried. 11.6.
Move. There's two resolutions. Moved by Councillor Cannon, second by Councillor Hoffman. Whereas the Michipicoten Golf Course is of great importance to the community of Wawa from a social, recreational, and economic viewpoint, and supporting the volunteers who operate and maintain the course was a key action committed to by Wawa Municipal Council to support the Michipicoten Golf Club so the public course and its infrastructure remain in safe and good condition. And whereas the funding application to NHFC Rural Enhancement Stream has been reviewed and deemed a potential eligible project for funding, which may now proceed to the Stage 2 application process, provided a funding commitment is made to the project. Now therefore be resolved that Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Wawa does hereby commit up to $34,000 in a funding contribution towards the golf club renovation project, and that it commits to be responsible to cover any project cost overruns that may occur.
All in favor? Carried. 11.6.
Moved by Councillor Cannon, second by Councillor Hoffman, whereas the Wawa Music Festival is seeking sponsors for its annual music festival to be held July 21st, 23rd in 2023, and Municipal Council and its staff strongly supports the event and desires to become a festival builder sponsor of the music festival. Therefore, be it resolved that Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Wawa does hereby commit to making a financial contribution of $1,500 to the 2023 Wawa Music Festival to become a festival builder sponsor.
All in favor? Carried. 11.7.
Moved by Councillor Hatfield, second by Councillor Pato, whereas it's desirable for the municipality of Wawa to replace its current software with an enterprise resource planning ERP software, and whereas the 23 capital budget approved the purchase of municipal software, and whereas the costs exceed the budgeted amount by $49,600, now therefore be it resolved that Council for the Corporation of the Municipality of Wawa does hereby authorize the purchase of the Town Suite municipal software at a cost of $302,064, plus applicable taxes.
All in favor? Carried. There is no notice of motion, so we will move on to bylaws. 13.1.
Moved by Councillor Hatfield, seconded by Councillor Hoffman, resolved that the following bylaws be introduced and read a first, second, and third time and finally passed, and that the mayor and clerk do sign and seal the same, any rule of this council to the contrary notwithstanding. Bylaw number 3608-23 to confirm the proceedings of council at its meeting held on the 10th day of June and the 20th day of June 2023. Bylaw number 3609-23 to authorize the Corporation of Municipality Wawa to enter into an agreement with the Corporation of the Township of Dubreuilville for the provision of any personal service, equipment, or material required during an emergency.
All in favor? Carried. Item number 14, closed session. Moving into closed session.
Moved by Councillor Cannon, second by Councillor Hoffman, resolved that this committee proceed in camera at 9:05 p.m. in order to address the following matters pertaining to item number 1, a legal issue. It's an application under Section 357 of the Municipal Act, and it's related to personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. Item number 14.3, it's a legal issue, a citizen complaint, and it deals with the security of the property of the municipality or local board. 14.4 is a legal issue relating to land, and it relates to a proposed or disposition of land by the municipality or a local board. And item 14.5 is a personnel issue related to a performance appraisal, and it's related to a personnel matter about an identifiable individual, including a municipal or local board employee.
All in favor? Carried. And we'll just give everybody a few minutes to switch over. And we are now on item number 15, business arising from closed session. 15.1, accept staff recommendation.
Moved by Councillor Hoffman, second by Councillor Cannon, resolved that the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Wawa does hereby accept staff recommendation as contained in Report IC MB 2023-14, application made under Section 357, and approve the applications made for reduction, cancellation, or refund of taxes in accordance with Section 357 of the Municipal Act as amended and as per the corresponding MPAC response for the properties listed below. Roll number 5776-003-06901 from the period of December 21st, 2022 to December 31st, 2022. Roll number 5776-003-06901 from the period from January 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2023. Roll number 5776-003-05101 from the period from December 21st, 22nd to December 31st, 22nd. Roll number 5776-003-05101 from the period from January 1st, 23 to December 31st, 2023. Roll number 5776-003-27301 for the period December 21st, 2022 to December 31st, 2022. And roll number 5776-003-27301 for the period from January 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2023.
All in favor? Carried. The next meeting date is Tuesday, July 11th, 2023, and we will now move to adjourn. The close of the meeting is 9:58 p.m.
Moved by Councillor Hoffman, second by Councillor Cannon, resolved that the meeting closed at 9:58 p.m.
All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much for all your hard work this evening, Council.